Okay, grade 10. Today's session, I'll try to explain all the previous lessons we took in Python programming language using the website online GDB. This site, we use it to write all the Python commands and check if it's working properly in the environment or no. And the very first thing to be done, change the language from here to be Python 3. And then delete the entire previous content, and let's start a program from scratch. The very first thing we took is to display a message on the screen using a command called print. So the print command is responsible of displaying a message on the screen. If this message is a fixed text, you can phrase it as you want. It has to be contained between double speech marks. This message, again, has to be contained between double speech marks. One more thing. The message here between the speech marks doesn't have any rules. So you can phrase it as you like. For example, I wrote, welcome to our class. One of you can write, welcome to my program. This is my first program. Whatever the text between the speech marks is, it doesn't have any rules. So each one of you can phrase it as you like. The most important thing, it reflects what you require or what you need. After that, we moved to a different command. It's called input command. So again, the first one is print to display a message on the screen. The second one is input. This one is used to capture a value from the keyboard, to collect a value from the user. Okay? There is something that needs to be linked to the input command. It's called variable, like the math variables. Variables are placeholders. We use it to put a value inside them. We use the variables to put values inside each one of them. So let's start with the input command line. The very first thing, we need to add the variable. Let's say we want the user to insert his name or first name. It's preferable to use a variable name that reflects its content. So for example, fn as a shortcut for first name. So again, it's preferable to use a variable name that reflects its content. So you can understand it easily when you call it later. Yes? You don't have to. It depends on the program. So again, you don't have to start with the print command. It depends on the program. Okay? I'm just explaining the features of each single command. So again, variable fn or first name is equal to input, and then open bracket. Between the bracket here, instructions message. Here you are instructing the user to insert what you need. You can ask the user here to input your first name. And then leave a space. Let's try this program. While running this program, okay, as you can see, the program displayed the welcome message, welcome to our class, and input your first name. The program is waiting for me now to input my name. When I press enter after it, the program is ended. Okay. If I want to collect multiple values, there is no need to repeat typing the command. There is no need to repeat typing the command. You can copy the commands and paste it instead of wasting your effort and time. And what you need here is to change the variable name, because you cannot use identical variable names. Okay, so here this one can be name to collect the last name, and you can change or rephrase the sentence here to be input your last name. In here, girls, I didn't mention any data type before the input command. I didn't mention any data type before the input command because I'm collecting plain text. I'm collecting plain text, and it's by default taking a data type called string. This one is taking a data type called string. String means the device is going to deal with it as a plain text, even if the entry is number. So again, even if the entry is number, without assigning a data type inside the command, it means that the device is going to deal with it as a plain text. So what if I want the user to insert a numerical value? What if I want to insert a numerical value? In this situation, after adding the variable to carry this value, I have to insert a data type or a specific data type. We have two numerical data types. We're going to learn about them this year. The first one is called int. It's a shortcut for integers. Int is a shortcut for integers. And this one can carry only whole numbers without decimals. Whole numbers without decimals. Okay? The other one is called float. The float can carry, yes, can carry decimals or decimal values. So let's start exercising the first type of them. Let's say that we want to ask the user to insert the current year and his year of birth. Okay, so I'm adding here a variable, calling it YOB as a shortcut for year of birth. I'm taking only the first letter of each single word. Equals int as a shortcut for integer. Open bracket. And then the same input command, the same we did here in line 2 and 3, I'm repeating it one more time to collect the value from the user. And open another bracket inside, double speech marks, and here you can phrase what you want from the user. I can ask him to input your year of birth. With the same way, I'm going to ask the user again to input the current year. All I need to do is to change the variable name and change this sentence to be like that. Input the current year. Okay. So for all those variables, girls, 2, 3, 4, and 5, they are taking their values using an input command. There is another way to put a value inside a variable using a calculation, similar to what I'm going to do right now. For example, if I want to calculate the age is a new variable, but this one is going to take its value using a calculation. How we can calculate the age of a person? Yes. Exactly, current year, CY, minus year of birth. So here we collected 4 things. We calculated the age, but we didn't display anything on the screen yet. To display all of those on the screen, I have to phrase an entire sentence in my head first, so I can convert what I phrased into a programming commands. Okay? So to do that, we're going to use a print command. We're going to use again the print command to display this message on the screen. Print, open bracket, between double speech marks. You can say welcome and move outside the speech marks. Add a comma if you're linking between more than one object. Again, if you are linking between more than one object, you use a comma outside the object. So for example, this one or this object was a plain text, and we wrote it between double speech marks. When you try to add another object inside the print command, you have to be outside the speech marks. Okay? The second thing will be the first name. Another comma. El name. So we combine between the first name and last name. Another comma. You can here add this part. And you are move outside the speech marks. Add a comma one more time. Use the age variable. Okay. And another comma. Double speech marks. Years old. So as you can see that we're going to send a welcome message to the user who's using this program, whatever the first name and last name is, and we're going to display his age after calculating it using command line number 6. Let's try to run this program and check if it works properly. So here, input your first name. I'm inputting my first name. Press enter, last name, and then year of birth, current year, 2024. And here, the program phrased the sentence according to command line number 7. Welcome, Muhammad Khalifa, and you are 34 years old. Okay. So far, do we have any problem understanding this part? Is it clear? Is it clear? Yes, Mariam. Which one? This one. No, no, no. This one is a part of the text. I can convert this sentence now to be what is your year of birth. So this one between the speech marks is not affecting anything. Those. This one you mean. This is a command or a keyword we use to collect the value from the keyboard. It won't work. It won't work. It has to be processed and entered as follows. Okay? Is it clear now? Okay, so here we combined between numerical values using int or integers. Let's say that we want to ask the user about many more things, okay, like his grades. And those grades might have a decimal values. For example, if the grade is out of 100, you can get 80.5, right? Or 91.6, whatever the value is, it might has decimals, right? So let's now ask the user about his grades, and we can combine it later at the end of this program. So here, let's ask the user about his ICT grade. In this situation, I'm using a different keyword called float. Open bracket, and then input has to be in a small case letter. Again, yes, I can use both. But in here, I want to use decimals. This is why I'm using float. Yes. If I inserted, this is a good question. If I inserted here int as integers, and while running the program, I inserted a decimal value, the program is going to display an error message. So if you want to insert a decimal value, you have to change the data type to be float. Is it clear? Okay. Yes. Yes, it's case sensitive. It has to be written in a small case letters, except the sentences between the double speech marks. Okay. So let's open bracket, and here we can phrase a sentence or a question to ask the user about his ICT grade. So what is your ICT grade? And instead of repeating or repeat typing to ask about many other subjects, you can copy and paste, and you can here change the subject. Yes. Yes. Again, the input command is used to capture the value the user is going to enter from the keyboard. So when the user enters the number, or for example, his name, or the value inside each subject of those subjects, it's going to be collected inside the input command. Okay? So here, let's ask the user to insert his biology, math, and English. And here we can rephrase this sentence to calculate the average. But mathematically, girls, how we can calculate the average? How we can calculate the average? Yes, Jana. Okay, sounds good. So we have here 4 subjects. Let's add them first together, which are ICT plus biology plus math plus English. And then outside, use the slash to make the division by 4 because we have 4 subjects. Is it clear? And then we have to add what we collected, which is the average, to the print command line. So it means I'm adding another comma at the end of this command line, and I can phrase here, and your overall is move outside, comma, and dimension the variable called AVG or average. Yes. Okay. Why I'm separating them? Because this one is called fixed text, and this one is called variable. I don't have to put the variable between double speech marks, because if I did that, the program is going to understand it's part of the fixed text. So it's not going to display the value hidden inside, but it's going to display it as fn. Okay, again, if it's text, I want to phrase it, or it's a text, I want to display it as it is without any changes, I put it between double speech marks. If it's a variable, I'm using it to collect things from the user, I don't put it between double speech marks. Okay, so let's run the program now, inserting all the data inside. So let's say the first name, again, I'm using shortcuts, M and K, values of the age, 2024, and then ICT grade, math, or this is biology, math, okay, 95, English grade, 90, and here the program displayed everything. Let's rerun it one more time, inserting, okay, decimal values, and check if the program is going to accept it or not, but only for the subjects, because we inserted the float for the subjects only. So for this one, for example, it's going to be 95.7. This one, 96.3. For this one, 91.2. And last one, 85.6. Press enter. The program displayed everything as the previous one, with the overall grade in decimals. So far, do we have any problem? Yes. Yes. I just tried before this one, before running this program for the last time, I tried inserting whole number. So it's accepting both. It's accepting both. Decimals, yes. So again, it's mostly used for decimals, but it's accepting both. Yes? Yes, yes. Any questions? Any more questions? Okay. So let's move to the evaluation. Let's move to the evaluation. If I want to evaluate an entry done by the user and display an output message to the user. Okay. Let's say after the user enters his grades, I want to say you passed if his marks or if his grades between 60 and 100. If it's less than 60, I need to tell him that you failed. If it's less than 0 or greater than 100, I want to tell the user to input a valid entries, because actually the average grade cannot exceed the value of 100 or cannot be less than 0. So in this situation, we're going to use the if command. With it, we're going to evaluate the average variable. Why I use this variable? Because this is the one which carries the average grade. If average is greater than or equal to, and here, while using comparison signs, like greater than sign, it has to be always on the left side of the equation. Because if you replaced the place of the greater than, moving it to the right side, like that, the program will understand that you're doing equality instead of making comparison between two parts on the equation. Why? Because all the digital devices reads the programming language from the top to the bottom and from the left side to the right side. So in this situation, the program is going to read the equal sign first. and it will understand that we want to make equality. So again, to make a comparison, we have to put the greater than sign at the left side of the equation. Yes. Again, what is the greater sign? What does it? I'm comparing now the value inside the average variable with a fixed value, similar to 60. As you know, to be considered as a past student, you have to get like an average greater than or equal to 60, right? The same. I'm doing the same condition. Yes. So again, this is similar to displaying an output on your report according to a condition. So you're going to have the word passed if your average is greater than or equal to 60. The same. Exactly the same thing. So here, I'm putting a condition for a range of values. It has to be between 60 and 100. So the user or the person can be considered as passed. Okay? So here, I set the first condition, which is going to be the average has to be greater than or equal to 60. And to combine between conditions, I used the operator and. The average grade has to be less than or equal to 100. So again, the average grade has to be in this or between this range, 60 and 100. So I can consider the student passed. Yes. Because if you inserted the greater than sign first, the program will read it first, and then he will understand that you want to make equality between the two sides of the equation, instead of comparing it to each other. Okay? So here, to close the if command line, you add a colon, and then press enter. The following line inside the if statement has to be indented to the left side, or sorry, to the right side, and leaving a space on the left side. Indentation means space. Indentation means a space at the beginning of the line. So if those two conditions are matched, the program is going to print a message to say you passed. So what if the user was messing with the program? What if the user was messing with the program, inserting very high values? In this situation, the average might be higher than 100, right? Or if the user was messing with the entries and he tried to insert negative values. In this situation, the program is going to give us an overall less than 0, right? So to prevent that from happening, we need to contain more conditions. We need to contain more conditions. To do that, and instead of using another if statement, you can use a keyword called elif. It means else if. Elif means else if. Else if this average greater than 100, if this average is greater than 100, or the average is less than 0, then display the following. Okay, sure. So for this command line, line number 15, we used elif to combine between more conditions or to add more conditions instead of using a new if statement. So instead of using a new if statement, and if we want to add more conditions, we can use elif. Okay, elif is a shortcut for else if. Okay, inside it we have to mention the conditions. And yes, inside it we have to use the conditions one more time, similar to this. Here I used the OR operator. Why I used it? Because the value of the average cannot be greater than 100 and less than 0 at the same time. But here, it can be between 60 and 100 at the same time. So if the output if the output even like greater than 100 or less than 0, this message is going to be printed. Input a valid entry. Or input a valid entries. Last thing is else. If none of those conditions are matched, none of those conditions are matched, the program is going to print you failed. So let's try to run this program now. When it's going to say the program is failed if none of those conditions are matched. Because I don't have any more conditions, but I have situations. There's no need to add more conditions. Okay, if you have, for example, a range of numbers from 1 to 10, this range have like or has some values below it and have some values above it and have some values in between. In line 13, we contained the values in between. In line 15, we contained the values above and below it. So what is left between the below the average and higher than the average we need to consider the student failed. So let's run this program and check the output if it's working properly or no. Let's insert, for example, M as a first name, K as a last name, any values like 95, 20, 85, 35. Sorry, I by mistake inserted wrong values for the year of birth and the current year. I will repeat running this program. And if this problem happened to you, the program said the server is lost or something like that, just copy the commands and refresh the page and then press Ctrl A inside the working area and Ctrl V one more time to paste your commands and then run. First name as M, last name as K, year of birth, current year, the subject's grade. The program here displayed the welcoming message. Yes, the program displayed the welcoming message with the output average grade and said you failed. Yes, yes, I'm listening. No, 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 I cannot add it next to the F command or the elif or the else. Those are rules for the programming language I have to follow. And also adding indentation or a space here at the beginning of the line. This is also a rule for the programming language I have to follow. If I haven't done that, for example, let me show you. If I erased this space and I tried to run this program now, can you see what happened? The program displayed an error message saying in line 14, there is like indentation error. Expected an indented block after the if statement. So you have to add the indentation. And this is important, by the way. You have to read the error if an error happened while running the program. Just read it. The program will highlight which line and will give you like a hint on where exactly is it. And also here you will find an explanation of the error itself. So you can correct it. So let's add the indentation. And let's go now to the last part we took. To make a space here, okay, you use the tab button, not the space. Yes, if you change the programming language from the beginning to be Python 3, the program is going to add the indentation spaces to you. Okay, so it's preferable to choose the programming language at the beginning of writing the commands. Okay, so let's now explain the last part we took, which are the loops. And we said that we have two types of loops. We have two types of loops. Loops is to repeat the entire content or to repeat the commands. We have two types of them. One is called conditional loop. The conditional loop uses the while command. The counter, on the other hand, we have another one called counter loop. It uses a for or the for command. So I'll be explaining the easiest one first, which is called the for loop. And this one, it needs only one command line to be phrased. For any variable name, whatever the variable name is, it can be S, for example, or G for 10G, for G in range, and then between brackets, here you have to mention the number of repetitions you're going to do. Here you have to mention the number of repetitions you want to do. Okay? So let's say that I want to repeat this program for 3 times. All what I need to do now is to add indentation because I want all the upcoming commands to be a part of this loop. To do that, I have to add indentation to each single command line in my program. Okay, so now while running this program, it's asking me for first name, last name, year of birth, current year, and subject's grades. Can you see what happened? The program displayed the output message, giving me an output according to the evaluation using the if command that you're passed. And then it started over one more time. It will keep running for 3 times. Let's repeat it, like adding random values. Because of the loop, we added at the beginning of the program. The loop, L-O-O-P. Okay? So this one is used to repeat the entire, yes, this command. This command line is a for loop, counter loop. It's going to it's going to be repeated for 3 times. Let's check. 90, 94, and then random marks. Okay, the program is repeated, and as you see, it said input a valid entry because by mistake I inserted here a very high value. So again, any values, J, K, for example, 2008, 2024, and then random grades. Okay, can you see what happened after the 3rd time? The program stopped. And I have a message here says program finished with exit code 0. So this is not the only way because in here I can use a different way. It's called conditional loop. This is counter loop and the other one is called conditional loop. The conditional loop has a different way of phrasing. To do a conditional loop, I have to set a variable first and put inside it a specific value. For example, G for 10G equals to 0. Okay, G is equal to 0. And then while G is less than or equal to 5, for example, press enter, the program is going to do everything down. It's a variable to hold the value of the counter. G is a variable to hold the value of the counter. Yes. Yes, it can be any letter. Anything. Okay? So, in this situation, we need to add one more thing. The counter loop works to increase the value of the variable by itself. But in here, in this way of repetition or of looping, I have to add incrementation equation. I have to add incrementation equation. Similar to this one. G equals to G plus 1. It means each time you repeat this program, the new value of G is going to be equal the previous value plus 1. The previous value of the variable G was 0 at the beginning of the program. When we increase it by 1, the new value will be 1. And then each single time we run the program, it keeps taking the previous value of the variable G. This is why we call it incrementation equation. Let me explain it with a different situation. This one is similar to, like, you know the game called PUBG? Fortnite, yes, you know it? Okay, so this game, for example, after each kill, your score increases, right? So this is the same thing. After each run of the program, or after each execution of the program commands, the value of the variable G is going to get increased. Got the idea? This is the same way, actually, yes. Yes. Yes, exactly. The exclamation mark, if you use it before the equal sign, it means does not equal to. When do we use? I'm going to use it right now. If I want to make an infinite loop, if I want to make an infinite loop, I want this program to run without stopping, like the calculator. And actually, after we finish this test, we're going to start building our calculators. Okay? So how to make an infinite loop to keep the program running the entire time? The same way we used here, but we do a condition that cannot be matched. We put a condition that cannot be matched. Similar to this one. While G does not equal to 1, for example. And there is no need for this equation anymore. For the calculation anymore. So in this situation, the value of variable G is equal to 0, right? At the beginning of the program. Is it going to get increased? No. I just deleted the equation. Of the incrementation equation. I just deleted it. So the value of variable G is not going to get increased. And it's not going to match number 1. The entire time it's equal to 0. In this situation, the program will keep running infinitely without stopping. Yes. Yes. This one, the exclamation mark, means does not equal. Okay? The exclamation mark means does not equal. In this situation, if you try to run your program, adding any values inside it, it will keep running each single time it's finished, giving you an output. Okay? Okay, do you have any questions? Any questions? Do we have any questions? Anything I should repeat explaining it? Anything is not clear? This video will be shared with you as soon as it's done. Yes, I was recording the lesson. Yes. Okay. Yes, do you have any questions? Any questions? Yes, what's the question? Okay. Yes, yes. This is infinite loop. Okay, it depends on the situation we want to compare the value inside the variable to. Okay, so for example, if we went back, let's stop. If I went back to the previous shape, this one. In this situation, with this equation, the value of variable G is going to get increased each single time you run this program. So I'm waiting until it reaches the value of 5. This is why I'm using less than or equal to. Okay? Okay? It's going, if it's equal to, it's going to do the same thing. But if it's more than or equal to, it's going to wait until you reach the value of more or greater than the value you set in this condition, and then it's going to start the repetition. Got the idea? So it depends on the condition you set at the beginning of the program. Is it clear now? Jonas, do we have any more questions? Okay.